Here's the nonverbal section, and I'm just going to read a couple of them. Leering, obscene gestures, physical is unwanted contact, touching, interfering with an individual's normal work movement. Is your complaint against her that these things are happening?
Those things are happening to me.
And her complaint against you is you're doing these things to her. That's what she's saying?
I don't know what she's saying. I have not
okay.
seen any complaint other than me moving my car. That's the only one
Okay,
I've ever
well,
seen.
I thought on the 14th you all discussed
Reading?
what she was saying about you, what you were saying about her, and you guys got upset, and that didn't happen?
No, I read her paperwork,
Okay.
and she read my paperwork. She said mine were all lies, and hers seemed like it was a lot of just what happened in July.
Person who is habitually overbearing, that would be Sandie and Michelle both. She and I used to get along until my numbers surpassed her numbers on the computer. And then it all changed. It all changed. She was so upset by it at one time that I actually yelled at her, and I felt bad about it, and I wrote her a card to apologize. But it didn't change. It was just constant after that until we got to this point where she alleges violence because everything else has failed. Envelopes. This is all about envelopes. Then one day the worst happened. Who moved a mat to my position, called me a bitch, started screaming for a supervisor.
She's fired for creating a hostile work environment within the small store.
Okay, is she fired for these statements? That was my question.
No.
Okay. Is she fired because she allegedly called her a bitch?
She's fired because she created a hostile work environment.
Okay, could you want to answer my question?
But that would be, I imagine bitch would be part of that.
I had been to Dan Kelly and others to constantly ask them to please ask her not to talk to me. Then Michelle started in. Michelle started with the envelopes and complained constantly. Linda's taken too many envelopes, and envelopes are lighter. They help your numbers. They've even tried shutting the computer off. All I have to do is turn it back on.
So when we were speaking of that, that's what I'm saying. Linda, I believe you. I don't think you're lying to me. I think this is really a legitimate concern. I know this petty stuff does bother you, and we have had those conversations, and I do believe that.
They have been trying to cry violence before, and no one believed them. For the last 2 years, I've dealt with Sandie Pierce until she found out she could lose her job.
Do you have a police record of her?
Of course I do.
As anybody can attest, the area in Smalls, when you go to break, is a very small area. You walk past each other, either going one way or the other. It's very easy to brush up against somebody.
I know, and I've been there 25 years, and I
understand
had
that.
this moment when I was just one of the hardest people to work there.
Hold on. What do you want this company to do? Because if you were running your own business, you wouldn't want to have to come in and deal with this whole every day, would you?
I personally think I'm being sabotaged.
The union put on the record that you made comments of complaints against the person that's before us today, and that you weren't able to bring anything in writing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you would do that and then not be able to back it up?
Look, I'd like to flesh it out a little bit. When we said that there was other complaints, the complaints that were coming across, and Dan can speak to a little bit of it, but what we had and what we were dealing with was what Linda was complaining about Michelle.